Unfrozen. $5 billion in education grants now available. What it means for schools. Imagine being on the cusp of a new school year, only to discover billions of dollars in vital education funding have suddenly been put on ice. That's exactly what happened when the US Department of Education announced it was releasing over $5 billion in federal grant money, funds that had been unexpectedly frozen, leaving school officials and educators across the country holding their breath. But here's where it gets controversial. Just days before the funds were set to flow as usual, the Trump administration hit the pause button. The decision to withhold these already approved grants, which came in late June, blindsided school districts as they were finalizing their budgets, planning programs, and hiring staff for the upcoming year. Can you imagine having to completely reshuffle your plans overnight because of a last-minute policy shift? For some, this delay sparked real chaos, especially for schools serving the most vulnerable students. The most significant chunk of money, around $2.2 billion, had been allocated for professional development for educators. To put this into perspective, these funds help teachers keep sharpening their skills and adapting for new learning standards or technologies. As Tara Thomas from the School Superintendents Association put it, this funding is what enables teachers to be better at their jobs. Cuts or delays here don't just affect teachers. They ripple out to students, classrooms, and communities. But that wasn't all. Grants for crucial programs targeting migrant students, adults returning for more education, and students learning English were also held back, directly impacting countless families and individuals relying on these resources. And this is the part most people miss. The drama didn't just play out behind closed doors. Lawmakers from both political parties jumped into the fray. Many argued the freeze put a severe financial strain on states and communities. States even went as far as suing the federal government to force the money's release. If you think education is one of the few things everyone can agree on, this moment proved otherwise. Should the federal government have the power to withhold already approved funds at the 11th hour? In a turn of events, the Office of Management and Budget has now ordered the release of all formula-based education funds, with the Education Department set to begin distributing the money to states next week. This comes after an earlier decision that returned funds for before and after school programs as well. The initial freeze, however, left a mark, forcing districts to scramble and driving home just how politicized education funding can be. Here's a bold question. Was the delay a necessary step to review funding priorities, or did it simply put millions of students and teachers at risk for political reasons? It's not the first time the Trump administration has targeted these programs. Just look at the proposed 2026 federal budget, which sought to eliminate every grant that had been temporarily frozen. We want to hear your voice. Do you believe grant freezes like these have any place in our education system, or do they create more problems than they solve? Was the administration right to review these funds? Or was this a harmful overreach, missing the needs of real students and teachers? Share your thoughts below. Let's spark a real conversation about the future of education funding. Trump administration unfreezes $5 billion in education funding. Imagine a scenario where classrooms, summer camps, and after-school programs are suddenly left in uncertainty due to halted funding. This is exactly what many educators and families experienced recently. In a dramatic turn of events, the Trump administration has announced the unlocking of more than $5 billion in the nearly $7 billion worth of funding that was put on hold earlier this month. The funds, originally frozen with little warning, were allocated to several K-12 programs, including initiatives geared towards teacher training, English language learning, student enrichment, and partnerships with non-profit learning centers that often serve some of America's most economically challenged children. But here's where it gets controversial. A senior administration official revealed that after a thorough programmatic review, the remaining money will now be released to state governments. Previously, $1.3 billion had already been freed, with strict safeguards ensuring that these resources will not be misused in violation of existing executive orders or administration policies. Despite these precautions, critics argue that the administration's initial decision to block funding was based on claims that the money was being used to promote what they described as left-wing ideologies, a claim that has fueled heated debate among both supporters and detractors. Adding another layer of complexity, This funding freeze disrupted plans for summer camps and non-profits like the Boys and Girls Club, sparking widespread anxiety over whether these much-needed community services could continue operating. In a twist that left many stakeholders scrambling, the Department of Education had sent out a notice just a day before the scheduled release, saying that grants would not be awarded until its review was complete. This decision was justified by a commitment to ensuring that taxpayer dollars are spent in line with the President's stated priorities and the department's legal obligations. And this is the part most people miss. Even as the Office of Management and Budget reversed course on a portion of the freeze, releasing the $1.3 billion directed at 21st century community learning centers that support after-school and summer programs, the bulk of the frozen funds remained inaccessible until now. The timing is particularly noteworthy, and it coincides with ongoing efforts under the Trump administration to restructure the Department of Education, which include significant staffing cuts and proposals for further funding reductions. Moreover, just days before the fund's release, approximately 24 states led by Democrats questioning 2-place legal action against the Department of Education, arguing that these funds had already received congressional approval and should not be withheld. What do you think about these controversial funding decisions and the administration's rationale behind the review? Are these measures a necessary safeguard or a political maneuver? Share your thoughts and join the discussion.